So I'm going to use flat file. I'm going to be importing two CSVs for this particular example. So let's click on next and we'll give this data source a name. I'm going to be super basic here and name it Intune. We'll keep this enabled, keep it visible, short name. I'll just do like INT to keep it nice and short. Data source type, you can create different data sources here. This is the one you get out of box. I don't really know why you would need to create other data source types. I haven't really found a really great reason for it. It doesn't particularly matter too much, maybe except for some categorization, but I'm just going to use the out of box one. And then I'll skip over file path for now, come back to that in just a second. The rest we're going to leave essentially out of box. And the only other thing we're going to do here is the column mapping. And all that column mapping is if I share my CSV again, I'm just taking all of these columns and I'm mapping them into what we have for inside of Data Manager. So it's going to take whatever we have inside of our CSV or whatever source you're using. We're going to map it over to Data Manager. Now I'm just going to copy this whole line over here, because what we could do is actually just give it line separated characters or comma separated characters. And if I paste this in, I should be able to generate all the columns automatically, which saves me a bunch of time from like going in and typing these manually. And all I'm really doing here is going in, giving it a column name, and then the type of column that it is, whether it's a string, a date, whatever it is that you want it to be. Make sure you set it here because it is going to absolutely matter for later, for cleansing, for data transformation, and a whole lot of other things. So make sure your source types are absolutely accurate. That is huge here. So once you go ahead and set those things, so I think that's all of my columns here. The last thing we're going to need to make sure is we use the file path. Now you might be a bit confused because we're trying to import a CSV. Like, why do we need a file path? Well, this is because there's actually no upload method when it comes to Data Manager. Everything that you do in Data Manager, it has to be done via some kind of server, local on-prem infrastructure, where we have that actual document or file, and then we link that file and we run an import from our device into our Data Manager. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm just putting my CSV, it's in my downloads folder, and my import is going to look something like this. So it's literally just users, Mac, my username, downloads, and then the actual file name. So that's what it looks like for me. It's going to be a little bit different for you if you're on Windows or another platform, but I'm just giving it the file path for now of where that file actually lives on my computer. So that's pretty much it. I have everything ready. I'll click on configure data source. And now we have Intune in here. So Intune is ready. I can now run an import from my laptop into Intune. There's really no other way to do this. So if I go into Intune, I'll see some context, but I can't really do anything. I don't see any data. Nothing happens in here unless I actually run it from my local computer. So I'm going to run some of those commands that I just showed locally. Pretty much all you're doing, and I'll actually show you all this, we're essentially going to the marketplace, and we need to download something locally on our computer for Data Manager. It's called Data Manager Clients for JSM Assets. So you could go to the marketplace or you could just Google this. Again, I have it in this doc. It's right here. It's this link. And all you're going to do is download this, download the zip, and you're done. Once you download the zip, you're going to be running a few different terminal commands. So you're going to create a directory, you're going to change directory, and then you're going to copy the file that you just downloaded into that new directory, and you're going to unzip. That's pretty much what this does. Then you're going to change directories again because it unzipped, and now you're going into the Data Manager folder, and you're going to change it one more time, and then you're actually going to run your import. Now, your import is going to consist of your job name, and this is all you have to do after the initial setup. It's actually fairly simple once you run these few commands. All you have to do is give it your job name, which I'll show you where that is in a second. You give it your workspace ID, which is this right here, and then you give it your input token, all of which you could find directly within Data Manager. And you can do that by, first of all, the job name is actually right here. So it's Intune in my case. And in order to find the rest of these items, I go to settings on the top right, asset settings, Data Manager. And in here, we have the tokens. You're going to generate a new token, and then you copy over the actual token that it generates for you. I'm not going to generate one because I already have one. And then you could copy over the workspace ID right here. For some reason, Rovo's in the way, but you click this little button and it gives you the workspace ID that you can then copy and then add into that particular script to be able to run your import. So that's all I'm doing on the back end. So I'm going to jump in and run that, and we'll see what it looks like live when that's actually run. So I'm going to use the same exact script I used before, and then I'm just going to name it Intune or give my job name Intune versus what I had previously. Okay, should be running right now. Let's see if we run into any errors. And the really cool part is that if we do run into errors, it actually shows us inside of asset management or data manager immediately. So in this case, it ran successfully. And if I go here, boom, we immediately get that it's fetched everything at what time, or not fetched, it's imported everything at what time, etc. So now we have our Intune file in there. And this was, again, just our Intune import. Real quick, I've implemented Jira for over 200 companies. By far, the number one reason teams reach out to us is because they built what they thought was a great solution, only to realize that nobody actually ended up using it. And if that sounds familiar, that's exactly what we help you fix. We're currently taking on new projects 4 to 6 weeks out. And if you want help implementing Jira in a way that your team will actually use, hit the first link in the description below.